The Galactic Union had existed for thousands of years. It was a vast collection of alien civilizations, each proud of their own history and culture. They believed they had seen every kind of species possible: strong ones, smart ones, fast ones, even telepathic ones. But humans were new, very new. Ambassador Sarala Vey from the planet Tirath sat in her shining silver office aboard the Union's Grand Station, Orbital Zenith, staring at the latest recruitment report. The words "Terran military request" flashed across her hollow screen. She scoffed softly, her green eyes narrowing in disbelief. "Humans," she said under her breath. "They want to join the defense fleet?" Absurd. To Sarala, humans were strange. They came from a small blue world, still learning how to travel beyond their star. Their history was filled with conflicts, mistakes, and endless emotion. The Union only admitted them 2 years ago, mostly out of curiosity, not respect. "They are unpredictable," she told her assistant, a small mechanical drone named Ryle, who hovered beside her. "They are emotional, impulsive, and fragile. What can they possibly offer the fleet?" Ryle beeped politely. "Records indicate humans adapt quickly, Ambassador. Adaptation is not enough," Sarala interrupted. "Discipline wins wars, not chaos." Outside her window, the silver curve of the station gleamed under the light of 3 suns. Beyond that lay the dark emptiness of space, and at its edge, a new danger. Reports spoke of strange ships appearing in the outer sectors, unknown origin, silent and fast. The Union was worried, though no one said it out loud. That was why the Defense Council demanded every species send soldiers for joint training. It was a test of unity. And now, the humans had volunteered. The next morning, the main training field buzzed with energy. Soldiers from dozens of worlds gathered, their colorful armor shining in the light. Tall reptilian warriors from Karn, graceful avians from Avaris, and armored insects from Kreth all stood in formation. Sarala walked along the command platform, her long silver robe flowing behind her. She lifted her tablet, scanning the list. Her eyes stopped at the last name. Private Daniel Reeve. Human. She frowned. "One?" she muttered. "They only sent one?" "Affirmative," Ryle answered. "Records show that the Terran fleet could spare only 1 soldier at this time." "1 soldier," Sarala repeated, shaking her head. "Out of all their millions?" To her it felt like a joke, a message that humans weren't taking the Union seriously. When the transport ship landed, the crowd turned. The hatch opened, releasing a small gust of air, and out stepped a man in dark gray armor. He wasn't tall like the Karn, nor glowing like the Virians, just normal. Ordinary. His helmet was off, revealing brown hair, calm blue eyes, and a quiet, polite expression. He saluted in the human style, hand to forehead. "Private Daniel Reeve, reporting for duty, ma'am," he said in a clear voice. Sarala looked at him up and down. "This is it?" she asked. "No squad, no backup?" Reeve smiled slightly. "Just me, ma'am." Some of the alien officers chuckled. A Karn warrior whispered something that made others laugh. Sarala didn't laugh, but the corner of her mouth lifted. "Very well, Private," she said. "Let's see if your kind can keep up." Training began that afternoon. The exercise was simple, a coordination drill between mixed species. The task was to retrieve a signal beacon hidden in a mock battlefield, filled with obstacles, artificial storms, and low-gravity zones. Reeve was placed with a group of 5 aliens. Corthan, a tall, scaly soldier from Karn, known for strength. Lyra, a bird-like Avarian scout, fast and sharp-eyed. Trell, a bulky Kreth engineer. Vera, a water-breathing serene medic. And Reeve, the lone human. Sarala observed from the control room. She didn't expect much. The timer began. The group moved into the field. Immediately, Corthan took charge. "Stay behind me, human," he growled. "You will only slow us down." Reeve didn't argue. He simply nodded. The terrain shifted as energy winds swept across the path. The others struggled to keep formation. The Avarian scout flew ahead but was caught in a magnetic gust, spinning out of control. "Hold on," Reeves shouted, grabbing a stabilizer cable. He moved quickly, anchoring it around a post, and reached out for Ira's arm. Using his own weight and the cable, he pulled her safely down. Ira blinked, surprised. You reacted fast." "Just instinct," Reeves said, breathing hard. "You okay?" From the control room, Sarala tilted her head slightly. As the drill continued, the team faced malfunctioning drones and collapsing bridges. Every time, Reeve found simple, clever solutions. He used the drone batteries to power the beacon scanner when the main supply failed. He redirected magnetic fields to stabilize paths. He wasn't the strongest or the fastest, but he kept calm when others panicked. When Trell's equipment overloaded, Reeve kneeled beside him, scanning the circuits. "These parts are overheating because the coolant can't handle the charge," Reeve said. "Try rerouting it through this secondary line." Trell blinked his insect eyes. "You understand Kreth tech?" "A little," Reeve smiled. "Technology is language. You just have to listen." By the time they reached the beacon, they were the only team still functioning. Others had failed halfway through. The beacon pulsed with blue light, and Reeve carefully adjusted its frequency. "Signal locked," he said. "Mission complete." When the announcement came, "Team 7, success." The control room erupted in whispers. Even Sarala's eyes widened. After the test, the soldiers returned, exhausted. Reeve's armor was scratched, his hands dirty, but he smiled quietly as the others nodded at him with new respect. Corthan, the Karn warrior, approached him. "You are not as weak as you look, human," he admitted. "Your mind, it works differently." Reeve grinned. "Thanks, I'll take that as a compliment." Sarala waited until the others left. Then she walked toward him. Her long silver robe shimmered as she stopped a few steps away. "Private Reeve," she said. "You performed well, better than expected." "Thank you, ma'am." "Tell me," she asked, curious now, "what drives humans to volunteer for something like this? You have no colonies here, no stake in our defense." Reeve looked out the window where stars drifted like diamonds in darkness. "Because," he said softly, "if there's a threat out there, it'll reach everyone sooner or later. We'd rather stand with our friends before it comes knocking." Sarala stared at him for a moment. The words were simple, but something about them lingered. There was no arrogance, no pride, only quiet conviction. "Interesting," she said finally. "You speak as if danger is certain." Reeve's blue eyes were calm. "It always is, ma'am. The universe doesn't hand out peace for free." That night, as the lights dimmed in the station, Sarala sat by her window thinking. Humans. She had thought them foolish, emotional creatures who rushed into things without logic. Yet that very emotion seemed to give them strength. She replayed the training footage, the way Reeve had helped his team, how he'd smiled even under pressure. There was something rare in that calmness. Maybe, she thought, humans were not as fragile as they looked. Maybe they carried something the Union had forgotten long ago, a small spark that refused to go out, no matter how dark space became. Sarala leaned back in her chair, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the unknown threat waited. She didn't know what it was, but for the first time she felt a little less afraid, because one human had arrived, and he had already changed the way she saw her galaxy. The next day, orbital Zenith's training fields were alive with movement. Soldiers from across the Galactic Union gathered to participate in a series of challenges designed to test intelligence, coordination, and problem-solving. Ambassador Sarala Vey stood on her observation platform, arms crossed, scanning the scene. She had witnessed one human soldier arrive, one ordinary Terran who had exceeded all expectations in the preliminary drills. She remained skeptical, however. One lucky performance did not a skilled soldier make, she thought. Humans were impulsive, emotional, and unpredictable. How could one possibly stand against the galaxy's most disciplined forces? Private Daniel Reeve stepped forward into the morning sun. His gray armor gleamed faintly, but he moved with ease, helmet in hand, Unlike the aliens surrounding him, he did not rush, did not puff his chest or flash colored energy. He observed. He measured. And he waited for the right moment to act. The first test was called the Coordination Grid. Soldiers were assigned to teams composed of different species, each with unique abilities. Reeves' team consisted of Corthan, the tall, muscular Karn soldier known for strength and endurance; Lyra, a winged Avarian scout, fast and perceptive but often impatient; Trell, a Kreth engineer, slow but methodical and precise; Vera, a serene medic, gentle and observant, capable of detecting subtle energy fluctuations; Reeve, the human, calm and attentive, seemingly ordinary. The task seemed simple: navigate a maze filled with obstacles, locate control nodes, and activate them in the correct order. But the maze was dynamic, changing with energy pulses and holographic shifts. Many teams had already failed in previous simulations. "Stay alert," Corthan barked, taking the lead. "We move together. Follow me." Reeve raised his hand. "Wait, we need to observe first. There's a pattern here. The walls shift based on the pulse of the energy fields. We move as one, not in a rush," Corthan frowned. "You are just a human. We do not have time for observation." "Then follow my plan," Reeve said calmly. "It works if we cooperate." As the maze shifted, the team encountered a series of traps. A corridor that seemed open disappeared halfway through, replaced by a glowing wall of energy. Lyra darted ahead, caught off guard, and nearly collided with a barrier. Reeve reacted instantly, grabbing a stabilizing rod and guiding her to safety. "You think too much," Corthan said, grumbling. "I think enough to survive," Reeve replied simply. They reached the first node. Reeve quickly scanned the energy signature and instructed Trell how to reroute the circuits to stabilize the holographic field. Vera monitored the surrounding nodes, ready to alert the team to any shifts. Slowly but steadily, they progressed. The other teams rushed blindly, some getting stuck in loops, others triggering false alarms that forced them to start over. Reeves' team, by contrast, moved deliberately, adjusting to every change and communicating clearly. Hours into the test, they faced the final challenge: a central control panel surrounded by 3 shifting energy streams. Each team member had to activate the nodes simultaneously to stabilize the system. Timing was critical. Corthan glanced at Reeve. "Impossible. There is no way we can synchronize perfectly." "Trust me," Reeve said. "Focus on the pulse, not the shifting walls. Watch each other, not just your own movement." Step by step, they followed his instructions. Reeve's calm voice guided them, not with orders, but with encouragement and observation. Each soldier adjusted their position based on subtle changes. The human's eyes scanned every movement, predicting the energy shifts before they occurred. With a synchronized click, the last node activated. The energy grid hummed steadily, and the maze settled into stability. The announcement echoed, "Team 7 mission complete. Outstanding performance." In the observation room, Sarala blinked. She had expected failure, or at least some clumsy improvisation. Instead, the team had succeeded where others could not. The human soldier had not forced the group through strength or speed. He had led with observation, strategy, and trust. Ryle, the mechanical drone, chirped. Analysis indicates extraordinary pattern recognition, predictive reasoning, and calmness under pressure. Highly unusual among Terran soldiers. Sarala nodded slowly. "This requires further study. Record all his methods." She realized that humans possessed something subtle yet powerful. They did not rely on brute strength, advanced technology, or innate alien abilities. They relied on creativity, adaptability, and collaboration. A spark of curiosity ignited within her. Perhaps humans were not as ordinary as she had assumed. After the exercise, Reeves' team gathered in the lounge, tired but satisfied. Corthan shook his head in disbelief. "I underestimated you," he admitted. "You are not like any soldier I have known." Reeves smiled. "I rely on thinking, observation, and cooperation. Strength is helpful, but not everything." Ira flapped her wings thoughtfully. "And you stay calm. Always. How do you do it?" "Focus on what I can control," Reeves said. "The rest is distraction." Trell, normally quiet and methodical, nodded. "Your approach changes everything. Without it, we would have failed." Vera smiled gently. "Together, we succeeded. Your guidance helped us do that." Reeves' expression was calm, almost modest. "That is the point. Humans survive by working together. Alone, we are limited. Together, we can achieve much more." Meanwhile, Sarala could not shake the impression left by Reeve. She had spent her life believing the strongest soldiers were the largest, fastest, or most intelligent. Here was proof that subtlety, calmness, and strategy could surpass brute force. Later, she received a report. Mysterious ships had been detected at the edge of Union space. They were not attacking, only observing. No species had been able to identify them. Sarala did not know if they were a threat, but for the first time she felt a small reassurance. If danger arrived, the human soldier might see solutions others could not. That evening, Reeve was called to Sarala's office. She stood by the window staring at the stars, then turned to him. "Private Reeve," she said, "I misjudged your species. You exceeded expectations today." "Thank you, ma'am," he said, polite as always. "You think differently than most," she continued. "Most species rely on instinct, force, or speed. You calculate, observe, and guide. You remain calm when others panic." Reeve nodded. "It works for us. We learn from mistakes, from small problems, and from each other. Over time, that builds strength." Sarala studied him carefully. "Perhaps your species has lessons to teach the Union beyond the battlefield. Perhaps you are here to guide, not just to follow orders." "I hope to do my part," Reeve said. "That is enough." That night, Sarala returned to her observation deck. The station floated quietly among the stars, bathed in the glow of multiple suns. She replayed the day's events in her mind, Reeve's calm reasoning, his teamwork, and the results of the test. Humans were strange, unpredictable, and yet remarkably capable. She realized that strength was not always measured in power or weapons. Sometimes it was measured in focus, creativity, and the ability to unite others toward a goal. Somewhere beyond the station, unknown ships lingered silently. She did not know if they were dangerous or curious, but she felt a new sense of hope. A human soldier had arrived, one ordinary Terran, and already he had changed the way she saw the galaxy. The next morning, orbital Zenith was alive with energy. Soldiers from across the Union gathered in the main training dome for a test unlike any before. This was no ordinary drill. It was a simulation of a strategic problem, a puzzle that required intelligence, coordination, and imagination. The task was simple to state but difficult to complete. Navigate a shifting maze of holographic corridors, locate the hidden control panels, and activate them in the correct sequence to stabilize the station's virtual energy grid. Sarala Vey watched from her observation platform, her arms folded. She had expected clever aliens, adaptable minds, and precise coordination. She had not expected humans to be part of the scenario, and certainly had not expected one human to stand out. Private Daniel Reeve walked calmly into the simulation arena, helmet under his arm. He scanned the holographic corridors with a measured gaze, noting patterns and timing. Unlike the others, he did not rush forward. He did not panic at false walls or sudden energy bursts. Instead, he paused, thought, and moved deliberately. The other soldiers hesitated as the maze shifted. Reeve's team consisted of Corthan, the strong Karn fighter who relied on sheer force and instinct; Lyra, the fast-winged Avarian scout who darted ahead but sometimes misjudged the holographic projections; Trell, the methodical Kreth engineer, careful but slow; Vera, the water-breathing Serene medic, attentive and cautious; and Reeve, the human, calm and focused. The simulation began. Holographic walls rose suddenly, paths changed, and panels flickered with codes. "Follow my lead," Corthan shouted, barreling forward. He pushed against one wall that suddenly disappeared, nearly toppling himself. Reeve raised his hand, signaling the group to stop. "Wait," he said. "There's a pattern. The walls shift based on the sequence of energy pulses. We need to move together, not separately." Lyra zipped past anyway and instantly found herself trapped in a looping corridor. Trell carefully rerouted a panel, but the delay caused another section to collapse. Reeve, however, observed calmly. He identified the sequence in his mind, noting the timing, and instructed the team with quiet authority. "Step here, then left, wait for 2 pulses, then forward. Trell, hold the panel there. Vera, monitor the energy flow. Corthan, ready your strength if the path shifts suddenly. Lyra, match your movements to the pulse, don't rush." The team hesitated. Corthan frowned, used to acting first. "Do you really think a human can guide us through this?" "Try it," Reeve said simply. To Sarala's astonishment, the team followed his instructions. Every move synchronized. The walls shifted, the corridors changed, and the panels illuminated one by one. The maze, which had trapped dozens of other teams, opened like a door under Reeves' guidance. "Good," he said quietly, encouraging the group as they progressed. The final challenge was a central panel at the heart of the maze, surrounded by fluctuating energy beams. Each soldier had to stand on a pressure plate, activating the system simultaneously. Timing was critical. Even a fraction of a second could reset the entire simulation. Corthan looked doubtful. "This is impossible. We won't make it." Reeves stepped forward. "We will if we trust each other. Focus on your pulse, not the wall." The soldiers obeyed. They synchronized perfectly under Reeves' calm instructions. The final panel lit with a soft green glow, and the energy grid stabilized. A chime echoed through the simulation dome. "Mission complete." The room erupted in astonished chatter. Other teams were far behind. Some had given up entirely. Reeves' team, though, moved slowly, deliberately and successfully. Sarala leaned forward on the observation platform. For the first time, she felt curiosity rather than skepticism. One human, ordinary, unassuming, had outsmarted veterans from the galaxy's most disciplined forces. She gestured to Ryle. "Record everything. I want a detailed analysis of his methods." Ryle beeped, already storing streams of data. "Understood, Ambassador." Analysis indicates high pattern recognition, rapid adaptive reasoning, and calmness under pressure. Uncommon traits among Terrans. Sarala nodded slowly. Perhaps humans were underestimated not because they were weak, but because their strength was subtle. Quiet, resilient, thoughtful. Later in the lounge, Reeves sat with his team. Corthan, who had been skeptical all day, finally spoke. "You are strange," he said. "Not like any soldier I have known. You do not rely on speed or strength alone." Reeves smiled. "I rely on thinking, observation, and timing. Strength is useful, but it is not everything." Lyra fluttered her wings, still amazed. "And you remain calm, always, even when we are trapped or the walls shift. How do you do it?" "Focus on what you can control," Reeve replied. "Panic only wastes time." Trell looked thoughtful. "Your approach, it changes everything. We would have failed without it, and we still might have," Vera added with a smile. "But together we succeeded." Reeve nodded. "Teamwork matters. That is how humans survive. Alone we are limited. Together we are strong." Meanwhile, Sarala could not shake the image of Reeve guiding his team through the maze. She had spent her career believing the galaxy's strongest were the largest, fastest, or most intelligent. Yet here was proof that something simpler, thought, calmness, persistence, could be stronger than raw ability. Her curiosity deepened when she received an alert. Unknown ships had been detected near the outer rim, not attacking, not moving aggressively, just watching. The Council had no information yet. But even without danger, Sarala's thoughts returned to the human soldier. She wondered quietly, if even one human could outthink trained veterans in a controlled exercise, what could they do when faced with the unknown? The next day, Reeve was asked to meet with Sarala in her office. "Private Reeve," she said, gesturing for him to sit. "I must admit I misjudged your species. Your actions in the training exercises were remarkable." "Thank you, ma'am," Reeve said politely. Sarala leaned forward. "Your methods are unconventional. Most species rely on instinct, strength, or aggression. You calculate, observe, and adapt. Your calm is unusual." "It works for us," Reeve said simply. "We learn from failure, from mistakes, from small challenges. Over time, you grow stronger than you imagine." Sarala tilted her head. "Perhaps your species has lessons for the Union beyond combat. Maybe. You are not here merely to follow orders." Reeve considered her words. "I hope to do my part. That is enough for me." That evening, Sarala returned to her window overlooking the stars. Her mind wandered to Reeve's team in the maze. She realized that humans had a quality that no other species in the Union had: the ability to adapt calmly under pressure, to think creatively, and to turn small opportunities into success. For the first time, she wondered if she had underestimated humanity entirely. Somewhere beyond the station, unknown ships lingered, silent and mysterious. She did not know if they were dangerous. She did not know what they wanted. But she felt less anxious because now a human soldier stood ready. And even one human, she realized, could change the way the galaxy thought about them all. For weeks, orbital zenith had been calm. Training continued, reports were filed, and life aboard the Galactic Union's Grand Station went on as usual. Yet deep in the silence of space, something stirred. Strange signals had been detected along the outer rim, faint whispers that came and went like echoes from the void. No known species used such frequencies. They were too clean, too deliberate, too careful. Ambassador Sarala Vey stood inside the observation chamber, staring at the starfield projected before her. She was not one to be easily unsettled, but the data on her holoscreen made her feel uneasy. Unknown vessels, still holding formation near the rim, said her assistant drone, Ryle. Sarala frowned. No communication attempts? None, Ambassador. They observe only. She folded her arms. They are waiting for something. Ryle beeped softly. Perhaps observing our defenses, Ambassador. Sarala's eyes narrowed. Then they will see one thing clearly. The Galactic Union is ready. But even as she said it, she thought of Private Daniel Reeve, the lone human who had surprised everyone. He had brought something new to the station, calmness, clarity, and quiet determination. His team had since become the top performers in every drill. And now, as the Union prepared for an unknown challenge, Sarala found herself depending on the one species she had once dismissed. The next morning, the Defense Council gathered inside the main chamber. Representatives from dozens of species filled the circular hall, each sitting in their glowing seats. Maps of the galaxy rotated above the table. Commander Valrek, a tall insectoid from Kreth, spoke first. The signals have grown stronger. They are near the neutral border. A murmur spread through the council. The Avarian ambassador raised her wings. If they are peaceful, we should not provoke them. But what if they are not? Replied Valrek. We cannot afford to ignore them. Sarala listened quietly. Then she stood. We have been preparing for weeks, she said. Let us test our readiness. A small observation fleet can be deployed, not to attack, only to understand. The council agreed. The mission was simple. Send one small crew to investigate the unknown ships. To Sarala's surprise, the chosen team included Private Daniel Reeve. Reeve stood at the docking bay, checking his equipment as the small reconnaissance ship prepared for launch. His team, Corthan, Ira, Trell, and Vera, that were already aboard. Sarala approached him. Private Reeve, she said. I am told you volunteered for this mission. Yes, ma'am, Reeve replied calmly. You understand the risks? I do. Observation only, no direct contact, he said. She studied him for a moment. Be careful. We do not know what we are dealing with. Reeve smiled faintly. We never really do, ma'am. That's what makes discovery interesting. Her lips curved slightly. You humans are strange. Maybe, Reeve said, but we're trying our best to be useful. As the ship departed, Sarala watched it vanish into the darkness. She did not know why, but she felt a strange sense of trust, a confidence she had never placed in any alien soldier before. The small vessel, Aurora Scout, glided silently toward the outer rim. The stars grew fewer, the light dimmer until only the faint glow of distant systems remained. Inside the cockpit, Reeve and his teammates monitored the scanners. Energy readings increasing, Trell reported. Something is nearby. Ira's sharp eyes narrowed. There are moving shadows. 4 ships. On the screen, faint outlines appeared, sleek shapes gliding through the void. They were unlike any known Union design. Smooth hulls, faint silver trails, and no visible markings. Still no signals? Reeve asked. None, Vera replied softly. They are completely silent, Corthan grunted. Strange. Even pirates broadcast something. Reeve leaned forward, studying the readings. They're not hostile, he said after a moment. Their weapons are cold. They're scanning. The stars, not us. Trell looked surprised. Then what are they searching for? Reeve shook his head. Maybe they're lost. The ship's computer beeped, an unexpected pulse from the unknown vessels. The signal was not language. It was a pattern, rhythmic, mathematical, and repeating. It's not a threat, Reeve said quickly. It's a message. Back on orbital zenith, Sarala monitored the transmission. Dozens of scientists were trying to decode it, but the message was unlike anything they had seen. It's not words, Sarala said, staring at the rhythm displayed on the holoscreen. It's structure, a sequence. Ryle hovered beside her. It may be a form of mathematical greeting, Ambassador. Sarala nodded. And the human understood that instantly. Ryle beeped. Indeed. Private Reeve interpreted the signal before our computers completed analysis. She leaned back, quietly impressed. Perhaps he sees patterns differently, not as data, but as meaning. Meanwhile, aboard the Aurora Scout, the message grew stronger. The repeating rhythm shifted slightly each time, as if responding to their presence. Reeve's eyes brightened with curiosity. "They're learning," he said. "They're adjusting the signal based on our scanner's response." "This isn't random," Vera tilted her head. "So, they know we are here?" "Yes," Reeve replied. "And they're waiting for us to reply." "Should we?" Corthan asked, uncertain. Reeve thought for a moment, then smiled. "We reply carefully." He tapped a few keys, sending a soft pulse, a simple repeating signal of equal rhythm, mirrored exactly. Seconds later, the unknown ships changed formation. Their silver trails brightened. Then, one by one, they slowly turned away and drifted back into the void. "They're leaving," Ira said softly. "Was that communication?" Reeve nodded. "Maybe just a greeting, maybe a test, but they understood." Hours later, the Aurora Scout returned to orbital zenith. The crew was greeted with applause and curiosity. They had made first contact, peaceful, silent, but meaningful. Sarala met Reeve in the docking bay. "Private," she said, "your quick thinking prevented what could have been a panic. The entire station thanks you." Reeve smiled modestly. "We didn't do much, just listened." "Sometimes," Sarala said thoughtfully, "listening is what the galaxy needs most." Ryle beeped from beside her. "Ambassador, shall I record this event as successful first contact?" "Yes," Sarala said. "And note this. Humanity was the first to understand the silence." That night, the Union's council held an emergency session. The unknown species had not attacked, but their presence was still mysterious. The data was inconclusive, yet something about the encounter changed the tone of the meeting. The Avarian ambassador turned to Sarala. "It seems the humans have proven their value." Sarala nodded. "They see connections where others see confusion. Perhaps that is their greatest gift." Commander Valrek clicked his mandibles. "Their logic is not like ours. It is emotional, intuitive, yet effective." For once, the council agreed. Humanity was no longer a curiosity. They were partners, thoughtful, observant, and full of quiet strength. Later, Sarala stood again by her window, watching the stars. The universe seemed both vast and fragile, yet she felt something new: hope. She remembered Reeve's words. The universe doesn't hand out peace for free. Perhaps he was right. Peace required effort, patience, and courage, not just strength. In the reflection of the glass, Sarala saw herself smiling faintly. She had scoffed once at the idea of human soldiers, thinking them unworthy of the galaxy's grand stage. But now, after all she had seen, she understood. Humans were not great because of their weapons or power. They were great because of their minds, their hearts, and their ability to turn even silence into understanding. And in the endless night of the galaxy, sometimes one quiet voice minded or one calm soldier could make all the difference. Days passed after the first contact with the unknown ships at the outer rim. Orbital zenith returned to its usual rhythm, but the air was charged with anticipation. Scientists, diplomats, and soldiers moved quickly to analyze the data collected during the reconnaissance mission. The unknown species had not attacked, but their presence lingered in the minds of everyone aboard. Ambassador Sarala Vey watched the star field from her observation deck, reflecting on everything that had happened. She had spent her life judging strength by size, speed, or advanced technology. She had believed humans to be small, weak, and unpredictable. And yet, Private Daniel Reeve had changed her perspective entirely. He had remained calm under pressure, led his team through complex challenges, and interpreted the signals of a mysterious species before anyone else could even understand their meaning. Sarala leaned back in her chair. "One human," she whispered to Ryle, "and already the galaxy seems different." Ryle beeped softly. "Analysis shows Terran reasoning is uniquely adaptable, Ambassador. Perhaps this is why humans were underestimated for so long." Sarala smiled faintly. "Yes, underestimated, but not anymore." The next morning, Reeve was called to the council chamber. This time it was not for training exercises. The council needed a plan. The unknown ships had returned, silently observing, And this time they had sent more signals. They were closer, their pattern more complex. "Private Reeve," Sarala said as he entered, "the Council believes your interpretation skills may be crucial. Will you assist us?" "I will," Reeve said calmly. "If it helps us understand them, I will do my part." The Council members from dozens of species watched with curiosity. Some whispered about human ingenuity, others about his calm demeanor. No one doubted that he had earned their attention. Sarala gestured toward a large holographic map of the outer rim. The unknown ships appeared as glowing shapes shifting slowly among the stars. "Your mission," she said, "is to interpret their signals and establish contact. Peaceful contact. We do not know their intentions, but we must try to understand them." Reeve nodded. "Understood, ma'am. First we need to watch and learn. Then we respond in a way they can understand." Back aboard the Aurora Scout, Reeve and his team prepared for another journey to the rim. Corthan, still skeptical of humans but increasingly respectful, checked the engines. Ira hovered near the observation port scanning the stars. Trell and Vera adjusted their instruments. Reeve studied the signal patterns. Unlike before, the sequences were more complex, layered with subtle variations. They were not random. They were communicating something. Perhaps information, perhaps a test of patience. "They're teaching us," Reeve said quietly. "Or at least they are trying to see if we can learn." Vera tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "The rhythm changes if we respond too quickly," Reeve explained. "They are observing our understanding, not attacking. We need to mirror them carefully, like a conversation." Corthan grunted. "Strange. Even the smartest aliens could not have understood this instinctively." Reeve smiled faintly. "That's humans. We notice patterns and we try to respond without panic. Calmness helps us see what others miss." Hours passed as the Aurora Scout followed the ships, responding to signals in careful sequences. The human soldier guided the team with quiet authority, explaining to each member what to watch for, what to adjust, and when to wait. Ira fluttered nervously. "Are we doing it right?" "You're doing perfectly," Reeve said. "Watch the rhythm, not the shape. Follow the pattern and let the signal speak." Slowly, the unknown ships began to shift in response. Their formations moved closer, more symmetrical, almost as if acknowledging the human understanding. Then one ship projected a soft pulse outward, a welcoming gesture. "Look," Trell said in awe. "They're inviting us." "Yes," Reeve said softly. "They trust us enough to communicate." Back on orbital Zenith, Sarala and the Council watched the live feed. They had feared danger, but now they saw something entirely different, a species unknown, communicating without words, without weapons, without hostility. Sarala's eyes softened. She thought of the first time she had scoffed at humanity, thinking them too small, too emotional, too weak. And now, she realized how wrong she had been. Humans were not strong in the traditional sense. They were strong in ways the Union had almost forgotten: patience, empathy, creativity, and the courage to act calmly under uncertainty. She spoke quietly to Ryle. "One human has shown us more than we learned in decades of training. Perhaps this is why humans survive so well on their homeworld." Ryle beeped in agreement. "Indeed, Ambassador. One human can inspire many and perhaps even guide the Union forward." Meanwhile, aboard the Aurora Scout, the human soldier made the first peaceful gesture of understanding. He adjusted the pulse of their own ship to mirror the rhythm of the unknown ships. A simple pattern repeated 3 times, almost immediately. The alien vessels responded with a glowing display, a visual language of lights and patterns that seemed to sing in the darkness. Reeve studied the sequence carefully and realized they were sharing data, maps, star positions, and even hints of their own culture. "They want to share knowledge," Reeve said, eyes wide with quiet excitement. "They're inviting us to learn from them." Corthan blinked. "And they trust one human to do it?" Reeve smiled. "We earned that trust by observing, by listening, by working together. That's what humans do, and sometimes one human is enough to make the difference." The Council on orbital Zenith erupted into whispers as the feed continued. Sarala stood silently, feeling a mixture of pride and awe. She had once believed humans were too small and impulsive for the challenges of space. She had thought their emotion would get in the way of reason. Now she realized the truth. Humans were special because they balanced emotion and logic. They could adapt, collaborate, and see opportunities where others saw only confusion. Private Daniel Reeve had not just represented humanity. He had represented the possibility of understanding across species, the power of calm, thoughtful action, and the strength of patience. After hours of communication, the unknown ships withdrew slightly, leaving trails of light in the void. They had shared their knowledge, sent a message of peace, and retreated to observe further. The Aurora Scout returned to orbital zenith, greeted by applause, curiosity, and admiration. The human soldier stepped onto the platform quiet and modest, while Sarala and the Council acknowledged the significance of what had occurred. "You have done something remarkable," Sarala said, approaching Reeve personally. "You have shown us that the galaxy is not only about power, it is about understanding, patience, and trust. One human soldier has changed how we view the universe." Reeve nodded. "I only did what I could, ma'am." "We all contributed." "That's the point," Sarala smiled. "And yet one was enough." Later, as the station rested under the light of distant suns, Sarala looked out at the stars. She reflected on the journey. From the first time she had scoffed at humans, to seeing one calmly lead a team through impossible exercises, to watching one interpret the signals of a mysterious species before anyone else could even begin to understand them. She realized something important. Strength was not always obvious. Power was not always visible. Sometimes it was quiet, sometimes it was small, but when paired with courage, patience, and intelligence, it could shape the galaxy. And one human soldier, Private Daniel Reeve, had already begun to do just that. Somewhere in the silent void, the unknown ships drifted, still watching, still communicating in their language of light. They had seen humanity through one soldier's eyes, patient, calm, and clever. Perhaps in time, more would learn what the Union had discovered. Humans were extraordinary in ways that could not be measured by size, speed, or weapons, only by spirit and understanding. Sarala turned away from the window with a soft smile. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, but now she felt a little more ready for the unknown. Humanity had arrived, and one day she knew their influence would ripple across the stars.